pickles on your falafel, dolma cooked by mom, and proving your kitchen skills to the in-laws. This week, we're in Cairo, Egypt.
Traveling the world to bring you delicious dishes, tasty beverages, and interesting experiences. This is the Destination Eat Drink Podcast on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
Welcome to Destination Eat Drink, the travel podcast for foodies. I'm Brent Peterson. Destination Eat Drink is for foodies who like to travel and travelers who love to eat. And this week, we're in Cairo with Mona from A Chef's Tour for strong coffee, Basbousa, and fava bean falafel. But first, if you like the podcast, rate and review Destination Eat Drink. It's easy to do on your podcast app, and it helps other foodie travelers just like yourself find the show, and thank you very, very much. And if you're planning a trip to Portugal or you just love Portuguese food, I've written a foodie travel guide to Portugal. It has my picks for all the best things to eat and drink, the coolest things to do, all the local dishes in 17 cities and towns around this fascinating country. Get your ebook for just $9.99 at buymeacoffee.com/destinationeatdrink. Mona is a foodie travel guide in Cairo, Egypt. Born and raised in Cairo, she knows more about her city and its food than almost anyone. Mona tells me about the different people who flock to Cairo from all around the country and the dishes they bring from places like Upper Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula. Plus, she tells me about a delicious Egyptian pancake, a typical Egyptian breakfast, and some delicious spicy dishes. Okay, I'm starving, so let's eat.
Destination Eat Drink.
Mona from A Chef's Tour, welcome to Destination Eat Drink. Great to talk to you. Looking forward to talking about Cairo, Egypt today.
Thank you, Brent.
Mona, I'm wondering, are you originally from Cairo? Is this where you grew up and live most of your life?
Yes, actually, I born in Cairo, grew up in Cairo, and I live in Cairo right now.
Okay. What is it about Cairo? So you've lived your whole life there. What is it about Cairo that you find so engaging and interesting that you've decided to build a life here?
So actually, Cairo, it's a very beautiful city, very big, very crowded. And there is a lot of diversity in Cairo. So while you are in Cairo, you have the taste from all over Egypt. So every place in Cairo, it's telling you a story, telling you, give you a different taste. So Cairo, you can see all the history going by, so while you walking around Cairo, there is a lot of diversity everywhere, which is allow you also, if we talk about the history, through the history, you can also taste everything, Cairo had the taste of old, ancient, modern, everything.
It's interesting because, Cairo is a huge metropolitan area, 22 million people or so,
Yes.
which is massive. I mean, way bigger than New York and other cities in the United States. So I would imagine this would be the place, like you said, that would draw people from all over the country to come and try and make a better life. Where are some of these people coming from and what kind of different cultures? Because I think Americans, when they think about Egypt, they think it's one big thing, very homogeneous. But you're saying there's all kinds of different cultures that are coming to Cairo and being represented there. What are some examples of this?
So when I'm talking about culture, because Egypt is divided into sections, yes? So Egypt, despite of it's small in size comparing to other countries, but it's big, in the culture. So, for example, if we're talking about people from Upper Egypt, they are different culture from the people in the north, different culture from the people in the desert, like in Sinai, and like the Western Desert or the Eastern Desert. So Egypt, it's got different diversity in culture. So, and each one, they want to come to Cairo to work, for example, and spend maybe a whole week or a whole month. So these people, Cairo, for them, it's the pot that everybody melts inside.
The melting pot.
So they bring all, their traditional food, traditional habits and everything, so you can find it in Cairo.
Let's talk about a couple of those specifically. You mentioned Upper Egypt. How is that different from Cairo, and how would that be represented from a food and culture standpoint?
So people in Upper Egypt, for example, if you talk first about the way that they dress is different than the people in Cairo. And they still have their own traditional life in everything. Maybe because Cairo is like cosmopolitan city, so they have the effect, from everybody around, even from the Western world as well. So people from Upper Egypt, if you talk about their food, for example, they always eat a very traditional type of food that like all the Egyptian or most of them do. Like they have the vegetables because, of course, you know that Egypt, the main source for the water for Egypt is the Nile. And most of the people, they live in the banks of the Nile. And the main job for them is the cultivation. They work as farmers. So farmers, they have vegetables, for example, especially during winter time. So they used to cook this kind of vegetables with tomato and onion and whatever available for these families, if they can have chicken or meat. So at least twice a week they do so. And of course, they having the wheat and they grain it and make the bread. Most of them also do the bread inside the house. Inside their houses. They don't buy bread from outside. But in Cairo, it's a little bit different because Cairo, most of the people are so busy. So they used to buy, the bread from outside, like from the street where they used to make it. So it's handy everywhere. While people from Upper Egypt, they always bake their bread inside the house.
So would they have a bread baking oven inside the house? Is that what you're saying, Mona?
Yes, they do.
And you mentioned the Sinai Peninsula as being a distinct culture. I can't say I know much about Sinai, except when I was growing up in the 70s, I know it was a place of conflict, but I can't say that I know anything else about Sinai.
Sinai, it's very big. It's very big, So the place of conflict, this is in the border. Yeah, the people, the Bedouin, they always, the main job for them, they work as like nomad, and they grow up their animals, especially the goats and sheep. So that's why you find most of the time they eat the barbecue, like they grill the goats in a special way. And this is their main food with rice.
And so people from Sinai, you see them in Cairo, these would be folks who would be making things like the goat stew and things like that.
Yes.
And what other areas of Egypt are represented in Cairo? We did Upper Egypt, we did Sinai. Where else would we see people flocking to Cairo to make a better life?
So if we talk about Egypt, for example, or cities from Egypt, so you talk also about the people who like to eat the camel's meat, and the camel liver.
Okay.
This is very interesting, and maybe it's a little bit weird for some of the people that they don't eat it, but camel meat also, it's very popular in Egypt, in certain places, and of course in Cairo as well. Like in a certain area in Cairo, not all of Cairo, because not all the people eat the camel meat.
Mona, you're from Cairo and you grew up there. So how was your life growing up different? What kind of foods were your favorites when you were growing up? Did your mom do all the cooking?
Yes, me too. Like my mom taught me, a lot of ways for food, because always the Egyptian, especially in the old days, they always cook their food, inside the house. It's very rare when you ask for like a fast food or a food from outside the house, because that means, like the people inside the house, it's they don't know how to cook, and this is not a good thing. It's not a good reputation for girls here in Egypt,
Okay.
to grow up don't know how to cook. So I don't think it will be very easy, because one of the main things, for the girls here, for example, if they, the people, when they propose, they have to ask, can she cook? This is a very important thing. And they have to invite the groom family, for dinner or for lunch, and they have to cook the food themselves.
They have to prove it.
Yes. Unless they will be, no, we have to think twice, before to take this step.
So that's so funny. So would you say that these kinds of cultural norms are changing as we're entering a modern era, or is it still like this
I
in
think
Cairo?
so, yes. In Cairo, yes. In Cairo, because it's life getting very busy, with all the the changes in our lives, so the young generation, they start looking forward, for like food from outside the house. They don't have time. They spend most of their time outside of the house. So we try hard, to keep this traditional inside the house. We always feel like we always say that the house more like feeling warm with the food inside. When you do the food and the smell of the food in the house, this means prosperity. Yeah, this is a very important.
A feeling of warmth too when mom,
Yes.
especially when mom's cooking. You mentioned the food outside of the house. You also mentioned fast food. I'm wondering, Cairo's such a huge city, a metropolitan area. I would imagine that Western fast food chains have made their way into Cairo. Is this the case?
But still the people aware, that this kind of fast food is not the best thing in town. That's why we try, even in HF's tour, we try to take the people to the traditional type of food, like the Egyptian type of food. So even me, if I take my children outside, I prefer to go to these places because this is like a typical Egyptian food. Fast food, I don't think that, of course, the young generation, they try, or the fast food attract them, but we try to keep the traditional type of food, in Egypt, even among the young generation.
Speaking of traditions, when you were growing up, what was the favorite thing that your mom used to make for you? What was your favorite dish when your mom said she was making and you were like, yes, today's going to be a great day?
Yes. The dolma.
Dolma.
This is the cabbage, like the stuffed cabbage and stuffed vegetables. This is like a big thing in the house when my mom used to do it. And any family, by the way, especially with young kids, will love it so much. So this is the cabbage always grow in Egypt during winter time. So my mom used to cook it the whole day and we just finish it in 30 minutes, maybe, the whole kit. So this is like a big thing, for the Egyptian families when they make the dolma inside the house.
What is so you've got the cabbage on the outside. What's on the inside? Vegetables, meat? What goes in there?
So inside the cabbage, we do the dolma in different ways with different type of vegetables. In the winter time, we do it inside the cabbage. So they roll the cabbage, it's rice, mix it with onion, tomato, and greens like parsley, coriander, and dill, and with different type of spices. So like cumin, salt, and black pepper. And then all this mixed, and we cook them first, of course, and mix the rice with, and then we roll inside the cabbage. If it's not winter time, so we do the grape leaves. This is like during March and April. This is the time for the grape leaves. Also, we do it the same way, and sometimes we add the grained meat inside. And lemon, of course, because when we put it in oven, we put like soup, either this soup, chicken soup with lemon or meat soup. If it's like any time of the year, so we use the fresh vegetables like the eggplant, green pepper, zucchini. So we stuffed also the same type of fries with all the mix that I told you about it inside these vegetables.
That sounds amazing. My girlfriend makes a cabbage dish where she rolls cabbage leaves around spiced lentils and adds in a few vegetables as well. And then she roasts it in the oven with tomato sauce to make the cabbage leaves very soft. So you can, basically cut them with a fork, and it's very delicious. How is this cabbage dish cooked? Is it roasted in the oven? Is it boiled? How do you make it?
No, it's look, we bring the cabbage, the fresh one. We cut it into pieces, and then we boil a little bit in the water with cumin, oil, and salt, just for a few seconds, and we take it off, and then we cut it into small pieces that we can roll it, and we just put it in oven with after we fill it with rice. So we put it in oven with some chicken soup So we stew it on the oven with the chicken soup.
Same idea, to make it, you blanch it in the spiced water to make it pliable, and then you roast it in the oven with some liquid so it doesn't get too crunchy. It still remains
exactly.
the same texture. That's awesome.
It's very, very delicious. And if you have guests at the house and you really want to treat them and you want to like show them how you cook for them and spend time, for them. So you cook them dolma, you make the dolma inside the house.
Dolma. Okay. That's a dish to definitely look for when we come to Cairo. Is this something that we can find at restaurants, or is this just something that's cooked only
Just
in
the
the home?
special restaurants, because the cabbages take a lot of time and most of the families do it. So there is just a few restaurants that you can find this cabbage at. But if you want to eat the best of the best, you are invited in my house to eat it sometime.
The best is at Mona's house.
Yes. No, you can't compare,
Of course not. Yeah. It sounds amazing. Before we go into more food, I'm wondering, Cairo, a lot of American tourists love to go to Cairo to visit, but as we said, it's such a huge metropolitan area. And I'm wondering, everyone goes and they go to the archaeological museum and they go to the pyramids. Those are the big must-see attractions. But I'm wondering, what do you recommend people go see besides those big blockbuster sites to really get a feel of the city of Cairo?
The old town, of Cairo, or the older part of the city. This is where the locals are. This is a very important part for the tourists to have a look at. Because, of course, seeing the sightseeing is very important, right? But the thing is that, blend among the local and see the culture, see how they walk, how they act, how they eat. This is very important. So you will not be able to travel to one of the countries and know about it unless if you blend with the local people. So the old part of the city of Cairo, it's a very important part for the people to visit.
You mentioned your tours at a chef's tour. Do you guys do the old town? I'm sure that must be part of your tour at a chef's tour.
Yes. Actually, we do our tour in the old town because it's different than any other tour. Like in Egypt, there are quite a few food tour, but it's very normal. It's even very normal. So that's why in HF's tour, we choose the old part of the city of Cairo to blend among the local and try the typical Egyptian food. And most of the restaurants that we choose in the old town, it's like a family restaurants. And it's almost like a homemade food. So when you try this type of food in the old town, you feel that you are at home. Because most of these people, they are family. They are not only working inside the restaurants. No, they own the restaurants and they inherit it from their ancestors. So some of the restaurants, it's almost 200 years old. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Yani 200 years old, and the family and the grandchildren and the sons and everybody work inside these restaurants. So this is what's make it very different. It's really very different than the other food tour anywhere.
That's amazing. I mean, 200 years, that could be 8 or more generations working in, going back.
We go, for example, for one of the pickle places, because we let the people also try everything. So there is a shop for the pickle vegetables, like carrot, turnip, pepper, onion, olive. So these people, it's almost like 170 years old place. And they are almost like the 4th or the 5th generation inside this place. And they are old people. So their sons, that they come after them. So this place, even the place itself, when you go inside, oh wow, you keep looking at the place, you keep looking at the tools that they use. It's very old tools too, So it's amazing place. It's amazing. The old town, it's a must, for the people when they come to Egypt, they must see it.
You talked about pickles. I'm wondering, is pickling a big part of the Cairo culinary scene? Because
Yes.
a lot of, you eat a lot of beans and fava and chickpea, things like this. And one of my favorite things to add to those kinds of dishes are pickles, different kinds of pickles. They go so well together.
always, the Egyptian, they have to have pickles at least once a day.
Good.
If it's not with all the meals, at least once a day. And we have also like what we say, like during the ceremonies, there is like a religion ceremonies that we eat like a different or a special type of dishes. This, it's must, have a pickles with. So during a certain time of the year, you found this pickle place, there is like line of people, standing in front of it.
I love it. I love pickles. One of my favorite things. We were just, my girlfriend and I had dinner at an Armenian restaurant in Lisbon the other night, and they had just a giant plate of pickles on the menu. That was it. And it went so well with the bread and with some other stuff that we had. But they had pickled everything: carrots, celery, cauliflower, of course, cucumbers. And it was a giant plate. I was like, how are we going to finish this? But it was perfect. We ate all of it. It's so good. I love pickles with my meal because that vinegary taste complements so many other flavors.
So you just explain exactly what the pickles here is. The way that you said it, it's exactly that what we do it. Plus, of course, some appetizer as well. Like sometimes we do some appetizer like baba ghanoush and tahini. So this is also very popular here in Egypt, in Cairo.
Let's talk about a few of the typical Cairo dishes. And the first one I want to start with is called Feteer. What can you tell me about Feteer?
So Feteer, we call it like when we explain it for the foreigners, we call it the Egyptian pancake.
Okay.
This is flour with water and butter. So we add mix them together and we make it like a very thin layers together. And we try to make the air go among it. So we have, in order to be fluffy and show the different layers, so you have to flat it very, very thin, and then you add more than one layer and make the air go among it while you make the dough. And then you put it in oven, and sometimes we eat it in two different ways. So we eat it like a dessert, and we eat it as a savory food as well. So the savory food that we put inside it, we fill it with the different type of cheese, sausage, grain meat, mix from everything: olive, onion, and tomato. So this is if you want to eat it like a savory, like a salty thing. But if you want to eat it as a dessert, so we either put a cream or a pudding inside, and we cover it, and sometimes also put nuts, and we cover it with honey when you take it out of oven. So this is very popular thing here in Egypt.
This sounds like a very casual food, Mona. Is this more like a street food? Would I get this while I'm out on the street, maybe enjoying an evening out, or for a quick breakfast? Or
No. It's like a special restaurants also, or a special places that they make this kind of food.
A few years ago, I had Sally El-Basir from Passports and Plates on the show, and she told me about the falafel in Cairo that she had made out of fava beans. And,
yes,
normally when we think about falafel in Western countries, we think about chickpea based. And,
yes.
And the fava bean falafel just kind of blew my mind. I love this idea because I love fava beans. I've loved them ever since.
I want to tell you, Brent, this is always the big surprise for most of the people who made the food tour, or who's doing the food tour with us. And always, this is the first thing that we start with in the tour, the falafel. And always, the comment that I get at the end of the tour was the best, dish that you have so far. They said the falafel, because it's very, very different here. The fava beans make it very crunchy, while the chickpeas, you don't feel it. You don't feel the taste. So here in Egypt, it's very, very tasty. And you should try it when you come to Egypt. So we mix the fava beans. Of course, we grain it, and we have a special machine to make it very smooth, because the fava beans, it's very tough. Even they soak it in the water for a while, it's still very tough. So they made a special mixer, and they add garlic and onion and some of the greens also, like the dill and parsley and coriander, fresh. and then they mix them. They make like a dough, and then they make it deep fried. And also sometimes they add sesame or dry coriander at the top of it, and they deep fried it. So they eat it very fresh and very warm, and this is what's make it very special. Sometimes also we bring them the baba ganoush with it. So they dip the falafel inside the baba ganoush and they eat it. It's one of the best ever. The best falafel you will ever have.
Wow.
In Egypt.
It sounds amazing. Mona, would I have some pickles with my fava bean falafel?
Of course you can. Look, how I eat it. I will tell you how I eat it. Like my favorite sandwich, like I open the pita bread, which is always fresh and warm, and you add the baba ganoush or tahini, and you add some pickles, okay? And like my favorite pickle with the falafel is the cucumber. So it's amazing.
So good. Oh, man. My mouth is watering.
Oh, me too, by the way.
We're gonna have to take a break for a lunch here. Speaking of fava beans, Mona, tell me about full medames. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Medames. Yes.
Full medames.
No, it's full medames. You pronounce, yes. Now you are Egyptian, Brent. You see, you pronounce it good.
Good.
So yes. So most of the Egyptian in the morning, their breakfast contain of full medames and falafel. This is most of the time. Let me tell you, about 75% from the Egyptian, if they don't have a problem, So this is their favorite meal in the morning.
Good.
Most of the Egyptian, they used to have this type of meal because it's handy everywhere. It's not very expensive. So it's like anybody can eat it. But the way that they make, or the way that they introduce the food, is different from place to another. So for example, in Alexandria, they add like different things than the one in Cairo. But Cairo, as we agree now, so it's like melt everything. So you can find all kinds of full medames in Cairo. So we either add like a type of sesame oil, lemon, cumin, and salt. This is one type. We add also like just olive oil also add. Sometimes we mix it with tomato, onion, and green pepper. And if you want it chili, you can add also hot chili sauce or the chili pepper add. So most of the Egyptian, they prefer it with the hot chili, at the top of it. Sometimes we add tomato with garlic, and also you add it and add some parsley add. So they are like different ways, to make the food. But normally in the morning, the people, they eat it with with oil and lemon and cumin and salt at the top.
Delicious. You mentioned the chili peppers. I love spicy food. Is spicy food a big part of Egyptian cuisine?
Yes. Most of the families, they love the spicy food. So we have like the hot spicy powder, or they can add it fresh, like the green pepper, the chili green pepper also at the top or among the food. So it's a big thing here in Egypt, the spicy food.
What other kinds of dishes would we have that would be particularly spicy?
The kosheri,
Kosheri.
So it's mixed from everything, So mainly it's a black lentil, pasta, rice, vermicelli, covered with tomato sauce with garlic and vinegar. And always in these places, in these restaurants, you have to find like a bottle full of spicy, like red chili sauce next to you. Because they know that the people would love, to add a lot of this.
The kushari has lentils and garlicky tomato sauce, vinegar, and fried onion. I can't think of something better than to top it off with a little sprinkle, a few drops of hot chili sauce. Do you like hot chili sauce on your kushari?
Very much. Very much.
There's a joke in the United States that some women love hot sauce so much that they'll carry a little bottle in their purse so that they're never without, So
no, this is very important here in Egypt. Like even some of the people, you can, because the hot chili sauce, sometimes it's make you like lose the taste of the things. But adding this at the kosheri, it's make it very special.
Mm.
I always cook with a lot of spice, like chili sauce in my food. And even my children also love it so much.
Oh, good. You're passing it on to the next generation. Good to hear.
Yes.
Well, we've had all these wonderful dishes, but we've neglected one thing, which is dessert. What kind of desserts do you have on your tour at a chef's tour?
So we try also traditional dessert like the Basbousa.
Basbousa.
Basbousa, this is a very popular dessert in Egypt. So this is like a semolina flour. You mix it with the butter and some like you bake it in oven, and then you cover it with honey when it's come out of oven. Sometime we add like some nuts but for the one that we give it to our clients, most of the time we'll try, because you don't know if these people having like a special allergic from the nuts. So we have to ask them first, of course. But first we introduce it without any nuts inside. And then if they don't have any problem, so we introduce the one with the nuts inside, because you can add nuts or without nuts. And sometimes we'll add also coconut inside it. So it's very delicious. Baklava, of course, also is one of the favorite dessert for most of the people. And it's the same also. Sometimes it's come with nuts or without. And all this covered with the honey.
What's your children's favorite dessert that you make for them, Mona?
The basbousa, of course. And also sometimes I do the baklava, but the basbousa is the best.
We can't leave Cairo without talking about coffee. Tell me about the kinds of coffee we'll have and coffee culture in Cairo.
So here in Egypt, we have the coffee beans and we roast them. Like even the places that we visit also during our food tour, we take our clients to see how they roast the coffee. And according some of the people, like the people who really love the coffee, they like it, the black type of coffee, very black, like very strong roasted. And they mix it also with some spices like cardamom and cinnamon. And we have to make it in a very low flame in order to give the good taste. This type of coffee, it's the popular name for it is Turkish coffee. This is the type of coffee that in Egypt here, it's very thick. And when they boil it, you don't have to drink it till the end. Otherwise, all this, the bottom part, it will be in your mouth. So you have to be careful while you drink it. But it's very, very strong one. And the taste is amazing. And the smell also in the streets of this coffee, it's everywhere. So it's a must also to try. Plus also some of the people would prefer to have tea. So this is according to what you are, like you are a coffee person or a tea person in Egypt. So here in Egypt, we divide into two parts, like a coffee part and the tea part. And most of the tea drinker also, they drink it with a fresh mint. So tea with fresh mint, it's amazing also. And it's a must to try it in Egypt when you come.
I love mint and tea, and I love cardamom and cinnamon in my coffee. Mm-hmm. For Americans who haven't tried it yet, you have to do it. It is life-changing to have your coffee this way. But like Mona said, don't chug it down. Otherwise, you get a mouthful of coffee grounds.
Yes.
What's your advice for someone who wants to go and find a really traditional coffee place and sit with some locals and enjoy their coffee? How would we best experience this, Mona?
So you go for one of the local coffee shops in the old town also, because they know how to do it. And of course, you have to be with an expert so can show you these places. And no, because it's like a gem hidden, inside the city. Nobody will be able to know unless if he dig for it, And of course, when you come by yourself, it's a little bit difficult to know all these places. So even it's my advice for everybody, like come and visit Egypt. You have to be better with an expert. It's kind of managing the time and, take you to places where they know, because Cairo, it's a very big city. So it's really a must, to go for a local places to be able to taste the real flavor for everything.
If you take the tour from you at a chef's tour and a chefstour.com, you get such an incredibly enriched experience than just trying to wander around and do this on your own and watching a bunch of YouTube videos. Talk to the expert, the woman who lives there her whole life, who was born there and grew up in Cairo.
The good thing also, Brent, that I grew up in this part of the old city. So, now I live in a very new part of the city, and I don't feel, like my life coming back to me, unless if I go to these places and smell, the spices everywhere, smell the coffee, smell the grilled kofta, and, see the people. They are the real people in Egypt. This is the real life for Egypt. So it's to give you like a positive energy. So you come back full of energy, from these places.
Mona, you're painting an amazing picture, and we'll have a link to a chef's tour in the show notes so that people can book a tour with you.
Thank you.
Well, Mona from A Chef's Tour, been so fun talking to you, so enlightening and interesting to hear about your city of Cairo. It sounds amazing and delicious. Thank you so much for being on Destination Eat Drink.
Thank you so much, Brent. And by the way, you are invited to visit Egypt anytime. And you have a friend from A Chef's Tour here waiting for you, take you around and give you the real taste for Egypt.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mona.
Thank you, Brent. Nice talking to you.
Okay, that's Mona from A Chef's Tour. Book your foodie tour of Cairo with Mona at achefstour.com. And I've also got a link in the show notes. Doesn't Mona just make you want to hop on a plane and grab a Feteer and a Basbousa? Sounds absolutely delicious. And if you want to hear more of my conversation with Mona, check out my Substack. Members have access to a longer interview where Mona tells me the 2 best souvenirs from your trip to Egypt, one edible and one not. She also talks about kofta and the famous skewered meat dish of Cairo. You can get that interview at destinationeatdrink.substack.com. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, for Easter, we're in Florence for the Exploding Cart, Schicciata Florentina, and food festivals under ugly neon lights. Don't miss that. Until then, get over to destinationeatdrink.com for more foodie travel. I just posted a story about the best places to get amazing chocolate in Ghent, Belgium. Belgian chocolate is some of the best in the world, and the Belgians would say it's the best. And I share my favorite places to get little chocolates in Ghent. Read that at destinationeatdrink.com/blog. There's also a new video to watch. In this one, I try some of the best sweets in Lille, France, including one whose name translates to marvelous. It's light as a cloud and it's delicious, plus a bunch of other sweets too. You can see that video by clicking on the video tab at destinationeatdrink.com or go to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@destinationeatdrink946. And you can check out my foodie travel guides. There's over 24 ebooks with all the best things to eat and drink and cool things to do, the best local dishes for all of these places at buymeacoffee.com/destinationeatdrink/extras. Destination Eat Drink is distributed by the Radio Misfits Podcast Network and Ed Silla. Thanks, Ed. I'm Brent Peterson, and I'll see you down the road.
Join us next week for another culinary adventure on Destination Eat Drink, a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.